pull on that jersey, you represent yourself and your teammates. And a name on the front is a hell of a lot more important than the one on the back. Get that through your head.
And here we go.
And it is no good. He missed it. Are you kidding me? The season can't end like that.
The playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
Some goofball in a hat and a red shirt. Now he takes off the shirt. He's running down the middle by the 50. He's at the 30. He's bare-chested and banging his chest. Now he runs the opposite way. He runs to the 50. He runs to the 40. The guy is drunk, but there he goes. The 20. They're chasing him. They're not going to get him. Waving his arms, bare-chested. Somebody stop that man.
Nobody ever tells me anything, so I'm going to try and tell you everything I know. Welcome to another edition of NETMA. So glad you could join us here on a Wednesday evening. Today, we've got a special guest joining us. It's Coach Brian Craven, host of Coach's Corner. He's going to go ahead and join me here on the show. Coach, how you doing tonight?
Doing good. I got my special coffee, and I'm on the air, and I'm ready for you to make me famous.
There we go. Well, if you're the host of Coach's Corner, I don't think I can make you any more famous than you actually are. But, Coach, thanks
I have listeners in the tens of tens.
There we go. I'm right there with you. So, but good to see you, Coach. As where's Bo Martin Jr.? He's already trying to send you into the Matrix. But
I see that. Yeah. It's probably better. It's probably better.
Yeah. So you went on the air for the first time in a long while for Coach's Corner with a new show yesterday. If you guys want to go check that out, link to Coach's new show is in the lounge portion of the NETMA server. Go ahead and jump in there. If you need a link to the NETMA server, link to which is down below. Go ahead and check that out, and check out Coach's Corner for his discussion with Matthew Slynn Shady on week 1 in depth, who he thinks is going to maybe do well maybe making the playoffs, maybe not. We're going to touch base on a little bit more of that tonight as well. So, Coach, let's just get right into it. You talked a lot yesterday in depth with Slynn about week 1, but let's just get a synopsis of all of that. What are some things that you were expecting, some things that you didn't quite expect, maybe a couple of surprises from week 1 for you?
Well, I think there's nothing necessarily surprising me that wasn't surprising for anyone else. You know, and they were relatively mild. San Diego beating Florida, but you know, we knew that was possible. San Diego was trending upward. Florida does have a little bit of transition going on, not outside the realm of possibility going into it. You know, a couple of things like that. Wasn't surprised by the DC result. I expected them to play quite well. No, nothing just knocked my socks off. You know, like, oh my God, really? You know, with week 1, I saw pretty much what I expected to see from almost everyone. A couple people had a few wrinkles in their offense or wrinkles in their defense that maybe you haven't seen from them before, but otherwise, you know, pretty standard. First week, fun. We had a lot of good games. So.
Yeah, absolutely. If you had to pick one team that was the biggest surprise out of all of them, which one would you pick?
Well, you know, my boy Liam Hammer may be disappointed in me, but the San Diego, they did really well. It wasn't that they just sort of fell into a win or that Florida gave them the win. They went out and took it. They did really well. They looked much more seasoned than we've seen from them past. They had a good game plan in place, and just looked fantastic. They had a stretch. They put together a drive at the end. They took off like 7 minutes off the clock. You know, just moved it like a well-oiled machine. It was fun to watch. That was a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. I was gonna pick Lone Star here because I mean, what was it? They scored what 21 points in a span of 2 minutes or something like that, if I remember correctly.
21 or 28. I don't remember which it was. That was a little bit surprising, but I do think that Lone Star should be an explosive team with the receiver talent and everything that they have. I think it's a disappointment when they're not to put it up that quick and that fast against City. All right, maybe a little bit of a surprise, but we've seen that kind of thing happen. You know, like I said in the show yesterday, sometimes the wheels don't just fall off. Sometimes the cart burst into flames, and that's kind of what happened for City yesterday. And Lone Star is poised to capitalize on it. So
It was a ball game from Lone Star, and I did say I was going to pick Lone Star, but I was actually really impressed with Carolina's performance. And I just taking a look at some of their stats, over 200 rushing yards. They hadn't had uh, a fantastic rushing performance, or at least a consistent rushing performance like that. Some seasons, I think like 4 or 5 seasons before they had a consistent maybe 150 average rushing attack way back in maybe season 12, season 13. So again, there could be rumors about the coaching staff. Shan, of course, jumps over and starts his coaching duties on the offensive side of the ball for Carolina. But in no small feat to him, but Carolina looks like a much more balanced team. You have a lot more running plays that are working effectively for Carolina. I think, again, Vancouver's defense is hit or miss in some spots, especially in the run historically. But for Carolina to come out and, take it to Vancouver for the entire game and not just, fall off toward the end, I think really impressed me.
yeah, well, Shan knows what he's doing. He's and that offense is going to be fantastic. I think all season you're going to see big numbers out of them. Andy, the play is a failure if it's not at least 25 yards and or a touchdown. So, and that's not a knock. That's what he's going for. And so you're going to see that, and when it clicks, it's taking. And on the occasion that it doesn't, it's sometimes even when it doesn't click, it's still kind of breathtaking. But I think Carolina's in a good spot. May not have won that game, but they're going to be a problem. Carolina's going to be a problem.
Absolutely. All right. So now, as teams and coaching staffs move from week 1 to week 2, so do us media talents as well, as we start looking forward to the future for all these clubs. And Coach, you're one of the best coaches in the league. As far as game planning goes for coaching staffs in the SFL, what are teams looking for? Maybe teams like Florida or San Diego coming off of what some would say a pretty surprising result, especially for both those clubs. What are teams like them looking forward to as they go into week 2 for San Diego playing another tough opponent or not Denver, but Florida playing Portland? What are some things those two coaching staffs are looking into?
I think, Florida wasn't bad. You can go into the season, and week 1's always kind of a crapshoot. You can go into the season and be like, oh God, I've completely blown this, and now I've got to use all of my changes to try to right this ship, or we're gonna, this is gonna be awful. Also, sometimes it'll be like, cool, maybe I won't change very much this week. That looked pretty good. I think that you can come out. Florida probably doesn't have a whole lot that they're looking at and thinking about changing. They moved the ball pretty well. They were relatively consistent. Bullet was Bullet. He looked fantastic. They had a couple of plays in there that surprised me that you don't see in the league very often. They were successful part of the time. They were not part of the time. That may change. It's about making tweaks, and you can't. I would say you can't game plan for the 5%. We all know that, and got a shot at Cam. So whoever's out there, take it easy. But his consoles don't all play the same, and you've got to try to plan for that. And if I run 30 sims and 29 of them are consistent, and do what I'm trying to do, what I hope I hope they will do. And then I get in the game and they haven't thrown any wrinkles in there I didn't anticipate. It's usually going to go the way I want it to go, unless it doesn't. And I get that one, that 2.5% sim, that one sim I had that went sideways is the one I get on Sunday. Do anything about that, right? So it's about planning for that. I feel like for a lot of teams, if you went in and you were consistent and you moved the ball and maybe you had some turnovers, but they were flukes, then it's just a matter. It's a little light sanding. You don't need to go in with a sledgehammer and rebuild the thing. And I don't think Florida needs to go in and rebuild the thing. They just a little light sanding. And then of course you adjust to what you think the other team's going to do. So, I didn't see anybody that I was like, oh God, you guys are screwed. Just start over now or start planning for that number one pick. I didn't see anything like that.
Yeah, it seemed to be. I mean, it seemed to be, Coach. Sorry to butt in. It seems.
Oh, no.
It seems like a lot of teams, have the right idea, that everyone kind of understands where their game plan's at. And for teams like Florida, who historically have not done well in week one, I think I heard it over in Gen Chat, like they have a streak going of, inconsistent week ones where they just come out and, just lay a goose egg sometimes. And again, this might be it. This might be the one game that happens to them.
Yeah, like I was saying, don't worry about week one. Hey, 2 seasons ago when I was still at Lone Star, we came out and 45-14 or something, beat Florida. They made it to the championship game and we did not. So, not time to panic.
Exactly. And you said it best on your show. It's an old phrase, but it's a good one, especially for week one. You take it with a pinch of salt, right? Everything can change. Week 12, or in this case, week 14 is a long way from week one. And so a lot of things can happen. A lot of things can change. So, Coach, let's move pace here. We've been talking Florida and San Diego. Let's talk about our team for a little bit. We're on the same team over in Louisiana. I think that was a very solid, opening day, especially at home against Sioux Falls. We hadn't beaten Sioux Falls in the all 4 matchups previous against them. So for us to get a win one and to, show the league that, this 2-back system can work if it's done correctly.
Yeah. Well, it was good. This was one of those ones going into the sims. I mean, going into the game, I thought, okay, if we get the same thing we were getting in our sims, we should be fine. Should be a good game. Should go our way, and it did. Virtually everything happened the way I wanted it to. The 2 interceptions came on a play that almost never got called in my sims. So what are you going to do with that? But other than that, it was nearly flawless. Now. I don't want to pick on Sioux Falls, but as you and I were talking about before, their front line is kind of young. I think Nick Fargo is the only real veteran they've got there, and then they've got I feel bad. I'm going to forget his name. He's a good guy. One of their defensive ends been at least one season, maybe 2.
I was thinking Benny Butcher, but that's VC. Axel. There we go.
Thinking of Axel Raven. By contrast, we're playing a much more experienced defensive front this week. The sims are harder, so we'll see. I think the jury's still out on what we're doing. I'm enjoying the experiment of it. I had a sim today where Hart went down on the first carry, and I got to see Squarebush the entire game. Pretty good. So, we all know how that went last season when Reggie went down early in the Atlanta game. So that's a nice thing to know. I've got that backup. But for week one, when we won and it went well. What are you going to say?
That's the biggest thing. I know Josh Varnsey down there in chat is seeing, he's curious with these expanded rosters, how it impacts game planning and how scouting is going to change. And like you said, depth is massive, especially at the running back position now for Louisiana. If you just said it, Reggie goes down, that's a completely different ball game. Hart or Squarebush go down, you still have a solid running back. And then for the last couple of plays in the game, you saw who the backup fullback is. B. Robo got about a few touches in the ball game. So you have to plan for everybody now for Louisiana to run the football. So,
right.
It's
right. I know, that's pretty funny.
It's absolutely fantastic, and good week one. Now we face Denver. It's going to be a much tougher test. Let's just briefly talk about week two. Week two, all the different games going on. The most up-to-date schedule, the official schedule, I should say, just got released. Of the 12 matchups, let's go 11 matchups because we both know we're both watching our game, and that's going to be our game to watch. But which matchup are you most looking forward to in week two?
Oh, well, there's a couple that were brought up when Slim and I were talking. The Jacksonville and help me out.
Charleston.
Who they playing?
Jacksonville is at Charleston. That's the game that kicks off the Monday slate.
That's an intriguing game for both of those teams because obviously Jacksonville got a win and Charleston did not, and I think people are kind of expecting the final standings in that division to be inverted from where they are right now. So I think that's going to be an interesting to watch. Portland, that's going to be interesting to watch. There's quite a few. I think the ones that are most interesting to me are the teams that are having to bounce back from week one. QCC, for example. We could have some really solid teams start 0-2, and that 2 weeks in, and we've kind of shook things up a little bit just because of the way things go. So yeah, but those two in particular kind of jump out as ones that I want to keep my eyes on. I mean, this is one of the ways that I can tell my energy for the league has been revived a little bit. Is I watched almost every game all the way through. I mentioned one of them I was falling asleep because I got up too early on my day off. But and last season I didn't do that. Last season I watched who we were playing and a bit of somebody else, and that was about it. So yeah, all of those are very interesting to me. And then trying to remember, there's London and Lone Star is going to be interesting. And then there's a one-on-one game in particular. Both teams are started out 1-0. It doesn't matter. I mean, I'm watching all. The ones that I'm most interested in, though, are the bounce back ones, where one or both are lost that maybe you didn't expect.
The first three games you mentioned, the Jacksonville, Charleston, Portland, and Florida, and Mexico City and Queen City game, all those games are on Monday, and so that's another wrinkle in the scheduling that we didn't have a whole lot of last year, where we don't really have games on Sunday. We have Saturday games and we have Monday games, and that's a whole new wrinkle for the league. How do you like those Monday games? I know this past week it was Martin Luther King Jr. Day, so the league did a couple of things for MLK Day, but do you think this Monday scheduling thing could be maybe right up our alley, especially when it's the regular NFL season?
I personally hate it because on Sunday I'm the only one in my department. I can just be in there watching the games and have my feet up and relaxing. On Monday, my supervisor is there most of the time, so I can't be watching the games. So that's why I hate it. But I know she doesn't watch this show, so that I'm going to be all right. But no, otherwise, I mean, if that's what works for, I know Cam's got some big dreams for us all, and that's what works for us. That's fine. It's kind of fun having Monday games in a way. If I could actually watch them live, it'd be more fun. But I don't know. I need more time. I'm going to push this one.
Okay. We like that. Any final thoughts, Coach, before we sign off for the day?
No, not really. I mean, I said I know personally my energy for the league has revived a little bit, and I'm feeling a little bit of that old love for it that I did when I first came in. A lot of that has to do with being with a team that I feel really comfortable with, and that's great. But no, I'm excited to get going again, and I feel like we got some good stuff on the horizon potentially. A lot of interesting new shows, new things like that. I don't know what there's something about the glory, something. I don't know what the heck that's about. That just sounds weird to me. Kidding. Jeez. Got an angry DM from Charles. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't do that. But I don't really have anything. Already eager for the next convention, to be honest.
There we go. Well, Coach, thanks for joining us. And you mentioned a couple of new shows. SFL Crunch Time is going to air in, what is it, about 40 minutes time over on the SFL YouTube channel, link to which is down below. And just an hour after SFL Crunch Time airs, Dave Axis returns to the airwaves with Road to Glory. That's the show you were thinking of, Coach Craven. So Road to Glory airs for the first time. Dave Axis back in the airwaves at 9 Eastern time over on Dave Axis Twitch. So go please check out those two shows tonight here on this Wednesday evening. And for everybody else, thanks for joining us. Thanks to Coach for being on the show this evening. And thanks to all of you for watching either tonight, live, or whenever you might be watching us from. So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow for more NETMA and more SFL content. Until then, everybody, good morning, good afternoon, and good night.